Did you have higher amounts of stress when you were younger and such like that would initiate that genetic change? Because that's what happens. A lot of stress plus food will cause some of these things to start to unfold in the body.
Yeah, I would say my late teenage years, I was very stressed.
Really?
To the point where I was collapsing on the floor.
What?
Yeah, I had a few big panic attacks in college.
Oh, man.
But I never connected that to diet. I just thought I was working my ass off too hard.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. I'm the host, Doctor Motley, but I have a very special guest with me, Sean Kelly, who is a person who's graciously allowed me to be on his podcast just a few minutes ago, and I'm really thankful. And Sean is basically an extraordinary person because every time I see his podcast and his social media, he knows everybody. He has his hand in so many cool things, and we are going to talk about his life. He is the host of the Digital Social Hour. It's one of the top-rated podcasts in the world. If you look at anything on Apple or Spotify, he's there. So, Sean, thanks so much for joining me today, man.
Thanks for having me. Good to be on the other end.
Oh, yeah. So I was joking with him that he asked such good questions that I hope that eventually that I could actually ask some good questions. But first off, though, I know that some individuals, when they see a host like on a health type podcast, they always want to hear about health. And I do believe that. I wanted to cover some of your health aspects. And I also wanted to talk about, first, I want to talk about you and about your journey, because when I look at who you are, if you guys see, he's a top rated podcast host. He is a self-made man. Like literally you look at what he does, he'll give you such good advice. It's free. And I mean, he'll give it on his storyline. He's an avid basketball lover. I'm a basketball lover. And one of the biggest things that I've seen that he has done is he's a connector. And I don't just say connection as like trying to get ahead in life. I mean a connection of people. And I think there's strength and joy and love to bring people together in this health world. We're going to dive into these things. And one of the first things, though, I just want people to know about you is that you've created a life of possibilities. Like, I love listening to your stories on Instagram. Like, literally, you're probably like the top 4 people that I stop and watch what you talk about. And one of the biggest things that I love to hear is when you talk about your life, especially in the clips. Yeah. And it gives us a head's first view. So, first of all, without me taking over too much and babbling so much, what about yourself? Can you tell us a bit about yourself and like how you got in this journey, but just like an overview, because people really want to know. I want to know. This is for me, because I just want to know your background.
Yeah, it wasn't really planned to be a podcaster, but I watched a lot of Rogan with my dad growing up, and I appreciated the form of podcasting. Just it felt natural, it felt authentic. When you see like the talk shows, it always felt kind of disingenuous when the celebrities would go on those and just give like PR trained answers. So the thing with podcasts is it just felt so cool. Like you were just sitting there, you felt like you were part of the conversation. So when I started mine, I was just interested in learning from people, talking with my friends, seeing what got them to the next level. And it was business at first, but then I started having on health people, and that just opened my eyes to everything.
Yes. When you got into the first podcast, like conversation, like, were you just thinking to yourself, like, I'm going to just start a podcast, and you just started it from, like, were you here in Vegas, or were you, like,
Yeah, I was in Vegas. So people watching this that want to start one, I would definitely be in a major city or near one, because that's important. You need good access to guest flow. So Vegas, Nashville, LA, Miami, being a big city. But yeah, dude, I had Sage Workinger, Gary's wife, as like my, I think, 7th episode, one of the earlier ones. And we got a gene test, and my life changed from there.
Oh, we got to go into this gene test. Okay, so we got to say we're going to go into the gene testing, because when you got your guest list and such, what was it? Health people that you were really after, or how did you start?
At first, it was business. I was very money driven. I would say 2 years ago, I was still in that phase of stacking cash. So I wanted to learn from top entrepreneurs, business owners, successful CEOs. But then I started having on health people, which, by the way, there's a lot of money in that space too. I know 10X Health is killing it, but that episode, man, because I thought I was healthy. Like we were talking about earlier, I was skinny, 6-pack, dominating basketball leagues. I used to be able to run a mile in 4 minutes 40.
Whoa.
So everything looked good, just appearance-wise.
Yeah.
But taking blood tests, taking gene tests, I was so deficient in some stuff, and I had some gene breaks.
Like when the gene breaks, what are some of the main ones?
I had the MTHFR one, and there was one other one, I think, related to anxiety or something.
Was it COMT?
It might have been that one.
COMT? Yeah. Like, and so you had, I remember we talked about, you said there was just a bit of like organ, visceral fat around the organs. Tons.
Bro. So Dr. Sean O'Mara, who studied over 10,000 MRIs, recently had him on the show, compared his MRI chart to mine, and he's 61 years old. Mm-hmm. He had no visceral fat.
What?
So on paper, he is healthier than me, which is crazy. Huge wake-up call for me.
So you got the wake-up call, and you see that did they talk to you about like correlations between like, internal metabolism and like with your MTHFR, that you could have like say ADHD or ADD, like some brain conditions. Mm-hmm. And so when you start to see that, what did you do? Like, I want to go back in your past though. Like, I want to find out about your background because it's really important about gene testing. But what were some of the basic first things you started to do?
Yes, the MRI I got last week, but after the gene test, which was a year and 4 months ago, I cut out all enriched and fortified grains, which I used to eat daily. And I was constipated for years, and I never connected the two. Yeah. So I cut that out. And on my blood tests, I had low vitamin D3, low magnesium, a bunch of deficiencies. Testosterone was kind of low. So I fixed all that holistically with the supplements they recommended. So
the biggest thing is like when you're dominating leagues is like when you say low testosterone, because most guys would not think that when they're they're thin and they're built and they're strong that you're going to have low testosterone. I was like, no, there's small signs and signals that you can have low testosterone. I was like, if you want to progress and get stronger and be better as you get older, you're going to have to get that cleaned up. Now, when they made you a suggestion, you started taking the supplementation. What were some of the things? You cut out the fortified, enriched, flour and get those grains out. Did you add into any types of foods that helps your brain and helps your body build up?
But I just followed what they recommended. I haven't measured blood tests since. I just got one last week, so we'll see what the results are. Yeah,
usually with, I always say as an encouragement, I know we were talking about MTHFR before, when your body's accepting of the nutrients and you start to assimilate and accumulate the good nutrients in your body, they say on average that MTHFR, 6 to 8 months for your genes to shift, but you can see results within 2 to 3 weeks, in few. But really, when you see that long lasting, you're going to see progress after 6 months or so. So when you got the wake up call, like, first of all, like this is how it would happen for me. Yeah. Whenever I'd had some indications like heart issues, and I had Lyme disease, but they were showing like my blood pressure was going high, and I used to think I'd be lying down and my heart would be beating out of my chest. Wow. And I thought, oh, I must be getting older. And I was like, no, you're only in your early 30s at the time, and you should not be having this issue. Do you have in your past, like we look back in your genetics, did you ever, like your family history, did any of your family members have any type of health conditions?
Yeah, so I took the 23andMe, and I did have the increased risk of diabetes and Alzheimer's, and both my grandparents, I would say on both sides, had Alzheimer's, and one of them had diabetes. Okay. They grew up in China, so they ate rice every day, white rice. Yep. So I think that might be a reason why he got it.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. Like I knew that we connect because you have Asian background, I have Asian background. Never talked about it, but my mom's Korean Chinese. So with that, like you can talk about higher amounts of rice and the pancreas issues. Like you're seeing it more now in Asian culture. Now, did any of say like the dementia and with diabetes, like my mom's had type 2 diabetes, and because they would eat higher amounts of processed of rice. Now, with that in the background, did you have higher amounts of stress when you were younger and such like that would initiate that genetic change? Because that's what happens. A lot of stress plus food will cause some of these things to start to unfold in the body.
Yeah, I would say my late teenage years, I was very stressed.
Really?
To the point where I was collapsing on the floor.
What?
Yeah, I had a few big panic attacks in college.
Oh, man.
But I never connected that to diet. I just thought I was working my ass off too hard. But it could be diet related for sure.
It could have been, but I would say like when you were working yourself hard, stress levels being that high, were you already at a young age one of those hard workers? Because you said money is a big motivator. Were you like pushing it hard even at a young age to think of ways?
I was a bit of a hustler in high school trying to make some money. Yeah. Because even though I grew up middle class, my mom never gave me like what do they call it? An allowance or whatever? Yeah. Yeah, I never got that.
Yeah. It's like, it was your mom, is she Asian?
Asian, yeah. Yeah. You know how strict they are.
Okay, we were both the same. Like my mom, if you want to look at a Korean soap opera and know what my mom's like, watch the Korean soap opera and look at the old Harmony, the old grandmother.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've had like that type of conditioning to like work hard. So when you started to unravel that and you started to go into the podcast realm, did you start off like with health? Like you didn't even know that this was going on in your health. You just learned about this a while back. But this, I'm just telling people out there, whenever you have that hard push, your body can keep up for quite a long time. Like, how old are you now?
27 now.
27? Perfect, because you are cutting it off at the pass. When you get to like 35, that's when they say like methylation, or if you can't, process your MTHFR, that's the age when you'll start to see like big changes. Like if you didn't get a check now, your visceral fat, you probably wouldn't even thought about it.
Never, because people don't get MRIs till like 40s, right? 50s.
And that's why people get the visceral fat and they get sick, I'm 35 and 40, and everybody says, well, I just get sick now all the time. And that's the reason why. When you did like go into the podcasting realm, did you know that you would have this big of like, health people, entrepreneurs? Did you ever envision this?
Eventually, yeah. So whatever industry I enter, and it doesn't have to be just business related, I become top 1% within a year. It could be basketball, it could be tennis, ping pong. I've done it in PPE, selling personal protection equipment. I've done it in podcasting. I've done it in e-commerce. I've done it in over 10 industries. I just set my mindset and I immediately become top 1% within a year.
That's amazing, because that's what I see with what you do. Like when you're out there, I say that you're a person, in my opinion, that people look at your podcast and it's not just about like how much money I can make. It's about possibilities. Like literally you create that in other people. So when you're growing this and cultivating it, did you go into college right off the bat, or did you stay in college, or did you use the podcast? What was the story there? I always want to know.
I was in college for a year, had a 1.7 GPA. I could never focus in school. And looking back on it now, it was a lot of health issues.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
ADHD, it was my diet. It was just me not interested at all in the topics. But a lot of it was definitely diet. Because I ate the school lunch in public school. I would eat fast food all the time, Chipotle, all that stuff, and just got used to it. But now that I eat so much healthier, I literally can't even eat out now. I went out to lunch yesterday and I felt sick afterwards.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. That's why whenever we go on a podcast, I like to have people's history and their background, because it allows us to see like how like your life, not blaming the person, like how it developed, you know what I mean? Like how the health issues could have like been set off. So when you get to the top 1-2% and you're eating a healthy way, like are you finding yourself now, since you're eating so much better, that your performance is better?
Oh, way better. It's night and day. It's so night and day. I mean, my brain fog was insane. I would wake up so groggy every morning. I would get sick once a month in college at least.
Yeah.
My immune system was really weak. I had low vitamin C on the blood test also.
Yeah.
So hopefully that was fixed.
What about vitamin D? How was that?
Low. Yeah. All the major vitamins were low. It was crazy.
And side note, guys, like when we talk about like low vitamin D and B and C, it's amazing. We have some medical doctors in Nashville that when you just get an assessment of your normal vitamins and minerals, and it's so alarming to me, like it was for me, like when I looked at my first blood test, how low I was in certain vitamins. When patients just literally put in the natural vitamins and minerals that their body can use that are quality, their body will fight off most of the infections by themselves, and they'll actually start to perform like the MTHFR gene. Now, when you start to utilize that and see that, how much are you feeling like you're a proponent? Like, I mean, like now that you're on your podcast, are you seeing yourself like looking through the lens of health? Like, dude, that's not good, man.
Oh, all the time. I try to be careful with medical advice. Like we were talking about this earlier, but just from personal experience, the MTHFR, whenever I see that, I'm like, you might have that.
That's how I was when I had Lyme disease really bad. I remember that I was cleaning out the infections, and I was working on individuals, and I was cleaning it out. I could tell like some of my work was saying that, oh, it's going away, but I wasn't. My legs kept staying weak, and so I noticed that I couldn't stand for a very long time, and I thought I'm gonna have to quit.
Yeah,
because I couldn't stand a long time. And then one of my friends, Dr. Miller, she is down in Dallas. She started doing MTHFR work and started increasing my omega fatty acids, certain types of B vitamins, B12, different mineral sources. And I started noticing I could stand longer. But what was really surprising to me is that when I did my MTHFR, my gene test, because I did a 23andMe as well, and this is before I knew they sold all your information, but I looked at it, and my mom, I got her one too. And I loved seeing that my mom had certain gene variants, and I did too. And now as I get older, I looked at my drive. Like I was saying, I looked at my drive when I was younger, and my mom was the same way. She would just hit hard. My mom worked all day and, would not take a break. She had the genes where she has like a certain form of perfectionism, but she doesn't have a long attention span, which I have to work on mine with my minerals and vitamins to keep my attention span where I talk normally. But the really crazy thing was that she, as she got in life, nothing gets in her way. She stays focused and driven, and I do too, which put a big strain on my dad and my mom's relationship. And it was really kind of like I started to look at myself and I went, oh, man, it's really interesting to see that I have some of the same correlations. But I think that when you do MTHFR work and you guys are starting to take your supplements for your gene issues, it's actually helped me repair a lot of the way I view things.
Absolutely.
So has it helped you with that? Like, I mean, when you're starting to take better, like more supplements, like your drive, like does it make you go, all right, break or?
No, yes, but there's a limit because I tried taking 40 supplements a day at one point because I was trying to follow Brian Johnson and work my way up to 150.
Oh, man.
And I had physical pain all over my body.
Yeah.
So I'm taking maybe like 7 right now.
Yeah.
That's it.
To me, you can, and I say over-methylate. There's also a way that you can like take too much at one time. My mentor always told me is like if you take too much at one time, that like your body, you have to work with your body's energy, that your body only has so much energy to tear apart certain amount of supplements at a certain time in your life. So like when I started off, like I would take like 12 and then like it would actually, my tell was this, my hands would get hot and my ears would get hot. And I knew something was off with my methylation. So I would get checked and like, oh, you're taking too much of this vitamin B.
Right.
And I thought that, I worked with it. I didn't get discouraged because a lot of times when you start to see like people around you that you're encouraging, they're like, I don't want to take this many supplements. I was like, I get it. Nobody does. But I think that's where you sort of cure it up with what you're eating too. You have to like eat really well. So you're starting to see the effects. You're starting to get the strength. One of the things I really love watching you talk about too is mindset. And you've talked about like putting your mind to something, about focus, like you just said about being top 1%.
Yeah.
What are some of the practices that you would suggest to people that
for mindset?
For mindset.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that was something I was born with or something I trained, because my mindset growing up I would say, wasn't the best.
Really?
Yeah.
Like looking at you now, I would always think that you had like laser focus.
I know. I'm trying to pinpoint it, but I think I would have laser focus in things I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Like I'm a top 1% chess player. I'm top 1% in Fortnite. So I'm really versatile with it. So basically what I focus on, and it could be the ADHD I'm thinking now that I'm talking. ADHD, you just laser focus on what you enjoy. Everything else you kind of just disregard. And I think that was me in school growing up. I wasn't really interested in any of the topics.
That would make sense though. It's like when they say that with ADHD and ADD, like in the study of genes, they'll say like your hyper focus is just what something actually will stimulate you and actually get you to actually see a good result. Like they actually have a good outcome from it. Did your top 1% in like chess?
In chess, yeah.
Man.
In a year or two. Yeah, some people play their whole lives and they're like, I'm better than them. Crazy.
Do you play poker a lot?
I just started. That one's a risky one to be top 1% in because there's money involved, a lot of money. So I don't know if I'll go down that road.
Man, you always surprise me. I hope I'm not getting too rabbit trail, guys, but this is so good for me. Okay. I mean, so your mindset, like you said, you don't know where it came from. Like you say, it's just like maybe it's the ADHD.
I think it's work ethic and ADHD combined.
Do you think there's some Asian influence? I'm not kidding.
Oh, yeah. My mom worked her ass off. She came here with $20. She used to scrub kitchen floors, didn't speak English. So I get the work ethic, the immigrant mentality. That's awesome. That's hard to teach.
It is. That's my mom came and she had a little alteration shop. She worked at a laundromat and she was like, a lot of times she felt alone in her life here because her family's back in Korea, but she left them and like people say, why do you work so late? I still, even doing Instagram or whatever, and doing these, I'm still working in the office pretty much all day. And I was like, it had to be my mom's genetics.
For sure.
I mean, with that though, did your parents have a hard like relationship or how?
Super. Yeah, they got divorced when I was 10, and I just told you about my brain scan, how I had some childhood trauma.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's related to that.
Oh, it has to be.
Yeah,
not talking on because my parents they split when I was 13.
Wow.
And then they got divorced later. But did it? I'm asking you, like with your drive, and if it's too much for me to go deep in, I'm not trying to.
No, you're good. I'm very open.
It's like I found that when my parents were not together, like it almost made me go like, I'm gonna have to do what I gotta do to step up. Did that happen to you?
A little bit, but my mom was a savage. Like she was a self-made millionaire, so not financially, but definitely like sense of purpose. I'd say I feel like I needed to do something.
Yeah. That's why you learn by example. You see that fieriness. Like I always feel that that's what happened with how my mom operated. My dad had a strong work ethic too, but they didn't have a good relationship at all. So you have this mindset that's going forward. Do you see, like in the past, you didn't know if it was that, your genes probably and ADHD. Do you practice anything now, like that makes you focus more, like any type of mind practices? Or
I do Wim Hof. I don't know if that helps with mindset. Maybe the breathing method.
Yeah.
I do sauna and I kind of just meditate in there a little bit, but nothing really like specific, to be honest.
You know what's going to happen though when you get more into MTHFR, because I can see you like becoming like a master at MTHFR. And, like when you start doing it, like as you start to strengthen up the glands, what I have seen individuals do is that they strengthen up the brain because you have the conditions, and when you start to heal the brain and you get your pineal and pituitary gland, you'll have more downloads. You'll have more. The pineal gland is set to receive like a radio tower. But what will happen is you're going to start noticing that you're going to get more information.
That's exciting.
And I'd say like, it's up to people about their higher source. I'm not going in that route, but you're going to feel more connected, even more.
That's cool.
Do you ever feel like because you're so successful at what you do and you work hard at it. And I'm in no way am I saying it's just like that luck. Some people, I say they got a lucky break. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, do you ever feel like things come to you or attracted to you more because you're so hardworking?
Yeah, manifestation, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask about.
Yeah, I think so, for sure.
Yeah.
I do have a spiritual side that I believe in, and I think I am a master manifester because I'm achieving results so quickly. It's like abnormal, and I'm able to do it across different industries where people dedicate their whole lives to it. Like there's been people that podcast for 10 years.
That's what I'm like. I'm so impressed, and I just want people out there to like, when they dream, I'm like, but I also say you got like the strength, like something inside of you that like allows you to just go forward and just keep jumping and keep moving forward. Would you, as you keep moving forward, you manifest, right? I see you as being a softer personality, not like saying like I'm trying to over dominate somebody and tell them what they should do. But do you feel like in your heart that you would say like for somebody with just wanting to create a mindset, like would you say start with Wim Hof, or would you just say like where would you now tell somebody to start with their brain?
Well, now that I've gotten the brain scan, I would recommend people getting that because you should know what you're working with, and then from there see if you could fix it. Yeah,
that's one thing. People think that if they can manifestation, or if they can think a certain way. I'm like, if your brain's injured, you're gonna have a hard time.
Yeah.
My brain scan, I've had different types of brain scan, but not from Dr. Amen. But I had on my right side where they said I had a lot of Lyme. That whole area would be lit up, man. Like,
holy crap.
Oh, and so every time I had central serous retinopathy on my right eye and sinus congestion on my right eye and my right ear.
Jeez.
Because that's where the toxicity was held in, which would make it hard for me to actually sit and think when I had the ADD component of the genes kick in. So the infections cause that to kick in a lot. So I have to, when I talk, you'll notice like I'll have to slow it down because I'll start going too fast and I have to pull it back. I find that now, like with my mindfulness techniques, I always have to, there's a little saying I always do in my head. I'm like, I know it's going to be okay, but I always tell myself, you don't have to get it done that fast. You can, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
And I can see like when you say the immigrant mentality, like I can see it in my life. And it was one thing that when people start to want to be like you now, because like everybody wants to like know Sean, and like I get that. Like, how have you handled that? Like with being as successful as you are and seeing things go, and you handle it so well. Because I want to talk about connectivity.
Yeah.
How's that affected you, like your brain and your body?
Yeah, I try not to let it get to me, honestly. I know the fame's going to be a byproduct of what my mission is, because I'm trying to really educate and inspire the younger generation on health and business and topics that they don't learn about in school. That's sort of my main goal. And I know as a result of that, I'll be starting to get recognized. Like, it's starting to happen for sure.
Oh, definitely, man. You're going to be recognized. Like, and how many places are you going around? Like, you had so many cities you're going out now, right?
Yeah. It's now I'm realizing it because that used to never happen in other cities. Maybe in Vegas it would happen, but now when I fly to other spots, it's happening. But I'm pretty good at not letting it get to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I was going to ask you about like when you say not getting to you, because I think a lot of individuals who, whether they have problems in business or health, they've had issues like you told on one of your podcasts that you're an introvert.
Yeah.
Like, and you starting to get recognized. Are you still an introvert or are you?
I would say I still am. Yeah. I've taken that 16 personalities test, and every year I take it once a year. Every year I get introvert. So I would say I'm not as much as I used to be, but I still am. And I could kind of toggle that extrovert side on a podcast. But after podcast, I feel pretty drained.
Do you?
Yeah.
Now, like with the introvert, like where did you, did that kick in when you were in high school too?
Yeah, I think it was the childhood trauma because my parents got divorced, and then I literally wouldn't even raise my hand in class. Like, if we had to present a school project, I would skip that day. I would take an F. Like, I was so scared of public speaking.
Wow.
It was, traumatizing.
And now you like public speaking now.
Yeah, now public speaking on stages, I haven't really done too much, but podcasting is comfortable for sure.
Yeah, okay. That's a really funny thing though. Like I'm saying, you didn't want to do like speak in front, but now it's starting to turn into that.
Yeah, now it's my job. It's crazy.
Now you got to do that. Okay, that's amazing. Like, okay, so with this, like, when you're an introvert, I remember you talked about like working through it. Did you say like at one time you had a guy on a podcast to talk about being bullied and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Were you ever bullied?
Heavy. Yeah, heavy.
Really?
Yeah, I was super skinny. You could see my ribs. I was 134 pounds, 6'5" in high school. I looked like a twig.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was definitely bullied. I did track. That's the one sport where everyone gets bullied if you're a track runner, especially distance.
Yep. And they always like make funny. Like even when I was going through school, because I'm thin, and like I'm a thyroid body type. I'm gonna be thin, and after a while, it does start to get on. I mean, not that I'm like sitting there in the corner just crying about it. However, I've seen people get really upset with it. It used to upset me after a while. I'm like, hey, I'm thin. Whatever. I think that actually caused some motivation in me too.
Same, for sure.
I would just like, okay, if you think I'm thin, I guess we'll prove it and see what our lives are like,
Yeah.
But I now look at it and I had to make a joke. I was like, well, thin guys always look good in suits. We always do. But really, too, I was like, I took all that motivation and I was like, well, I'm going to cultivate my life. And that's what I think, it's surprising how much of the things we got, in a sense, similar. So what is going to be like your next connectivity? Like, I know you've already, I was going to ask you that. Where do you see it going? Because, you're top 1% with anything you put your mind to, and you're going to grow this thing. And maybe we're just future forecasting, and maybe I shouldn't do it. But I'm asking, you're at the top, and do you see yourself, letting it grow, or do you think you'll find this and you'll say, well, I'm going to try something different?
Yeah. Right now, I'm still in the growth stage because we're at the top of our category, but the podcast space is so big. I mean, even though we're number 2 in self-improvement, there's so many bigger shows, and I still got a long way to go in my eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's still a lot of people I want to have on. There's still a lot more I want to talk about. So we're 800 episodes in, but still got some work to do.
800. How many do you do normally on a day on a regular work day?
So I did 15 to 20 a week for the first year. Year 2, I'm probably going to cut back because we have a 7-month backlog right now. So I'm going to cut back to maybe 10 a week on average.
Man, you are a champ. Okay.
Just to catch up.
So your health is important. So I'm going to ask you, with that much, and you see yourself just keep growing, I know you're taking your supplementation. My recommendation too is when you take it, remember to take all your supplements, and maybe if you need extra energy, make sure you have supplements in the middle of the day. Do you do that sometimes in the day? You'll take your supplements in the morning. Do you have any in the middle of the day you take?
No, that's smart. I should consider having some in my pocket. Just
you
in
should
case.
If you have anything that helps with brain food, or extra minerals or B vitamins on your heavy days, take those right after your lunch, or take that in the middle of the day. You'll get an extra kick.
That's smart. I try to fast the day I'm filming because I noticed I've split tested it where I eat breakfast before, and I feel kind of off on the podcast.
Yep. If you do that and try to find, in my opinion, if you're not gonna eat a heavy meal, which I don't either, I would say if you find a certain small form of a usable protein or something, or electrolyte source, and you can take your supplementation, do that, it'll feed your brain.
That's good to know.
Yeah, because you won't feel after you get done, you'll be too brain dead. That's how I used to be. But I started taking that and make sure I took mine in the afternoon. And I'm not saying suggest people who have MTHFR, but I got so good at methylating my Bs, I can take them down at 8 o'clock at night, man. I'll sleep easy. Brilliant. No problem. Yeah, it's been that journey. I can do it now, late. So, this is so interesting, people out there, because for me, it's when you have drive and you want to take care of yourself, then your health journey, people out there will even say well, I can't do that because I'm too sick, you know. And I'm like, we're trying to encourage individuals with their health right now. So we're going to go, like, you're going into the realm of like being in podcasting, even in the top 1%. You're also doing, I saw, like, you're the biggest connector. I know that's like just being connected piece. How you got into this, like, you're so good at connecting. Like, I see, like, when you bring into like different types of events and such. Basically, what I'm asking is, how did you start doing that? Like, what made you do that? Like, why is it so important to be a connector?
Super important. I mean, you see the group chat that has all the previous guests in there, and there's connections happening daily in there, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And that's a skill that has taken me so far in life because I'm able to connect people together. They want to be in my network. They want to be friends. They want to be business partners. And that's a skill you could develop if you're broke too, because this is something I got into when I had very little money. Yeah. And I would just go to events, ask the person what they're doing, have 50 of those, go to the next event, get another 10, 25, whatever, and see if there's any dots I could connect. And I don't even ask for money or anything when I make connections. I just do it for good energy, man.
That's what I think that's different about you. It's like when I talk about good energy, people ask, like, in the world of health, like, even podcasting or doing anything on Instagram, it's like, why did you do it for the first few years? They asked me. I was like, just to create a community, you know, to create joy and to bring it out there. And that's what you're doing, though. Like, do you find yourself with just help people? And, you know, you got individuals with real estate and investments. Are there going to be times when you're going to shift, like, health's really important to you? Do you find any other types of arenas that you're going to go into that you want to go into?
Definitely. And that's the cool thing with the podcast, because I get so many perspectives.
Yeah.
Like, I have on politicians from both sides. I have on health experts, spirituality experts, religious experts, business experts. And it's taken a lot of shifts. But right now, I would say health and spirituality are probably the two most important to me.
Yeah.
Business side of things, I have pretty covered. And I can only hear so many people brag about their revenues and stuff before I get bored, you know?
I can see it in your eyes, man. I can tell, like, you, like I always say, like, I can read people pretty well. Like, whenever you don't want to get too bored. Well, I mean, definitely. So what's going to be any new challenges in your health that you want to do for yourself?
Yeah, so now with the MRI results I just got back, had a ton of visceral fat everywhere. So making massive dietal changes. I'm doubling my step count. I was walking 3,400 steps a day. I'm aiming for at least 8.
Yeah.
Because that's very low. And I've been doing it for a week, and I already feel way better, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You see, it's the changes that you would think that wouldn't make the biggest, but they do. I'm on my feet all day at the office, and they say I walk so many miles a day when I'm there. But I can tell, though, that when I don't move, I'm a cranky person if I'm not on my feet. So I get that. Now, if we're going to go into this realm, like, you know, expansion, moving forward, what are going to be the things that you're going to do to help you stay grounded? Maybe you already are doing that and you say, I'm naturally grounded, but is there anything that you want to do to keep yourself grounded?
I ground daily. I have a gratitude list I write in every morning.
Really?
Yeah, 10 things I'm grateful for every single day. I think that's important.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep being a student of the game. So keep studying the best podcasts, listen to an audiobook a day. Not every day, but I do 2x speed, so I get through them quick.
Yeah. Like in that, are you just going through all genres, like in the books, and like which one would you?
Health, mindset. I just finished The Secret.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I'm gonna read Gary Vee's new book next, and then Lisa Bilyeu. She just came on the show. I'm gonna listen to her book about relationships.
Yeah.
Because that's something I need to work on. You know.
Oh man, me too. So, both being sons of immigrant work ethic, it can make us work too much. Like I've been called a workaholic.
Tough love, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom didn't tell me she loved me until I was 25.
What?
Yeah, Asians are tough, man.
Yeah. What about your dad? Did he?
He had Asperger's, so he really didn't tell me either. I remember when I moved to LA from Jersey, he gave me a hug for the first time in my life, and we both cried. And I was 23.
First time
ever, because he didn't know how to express emotions.
Wow, man, how did that? I mean, I'm just asking, like when you like, did you just get used to that, and you just like your natural drive just kept you going?
Yeah, I got used to it because I don't even know. Like that's just what life was to me. Like we never verbally told each other we loved each other, or hugged each other, or expressed emotions around each other. It was just all logic.
You know, it's funny you mention that because like my mom, she says I love you all the time, but my mom, they always call it in Korean. They say there's a certain type of face, and the Koreans talk about it where their face is normally looking at the most pessimistic thing, or like you have to have hard work. And they said the facial set is just sort of like prove it to me. And I used to think that, and I used to make light of it. But I'm like, no, my mom's face was like that, and my whole life was been to like prove it, you know. And when they didn't say that to you, like, what was the first thing like came into your heart, like when they said it? Were you totally surprised or shocked?
Dude, I was shocked. I ran away. Like, yeah, my mom told me on the phone, and I didn't know what to say. I didn't even say it back because I was so shocked. But now we tell each other every day. We love each other after every call. So that's something I've worked on, you know?
Wow. Man, explains how you have that drive and, like, you know, your work ethic. Does she live here?
She lives in PA now.
Okay.
Yeah, they got separated. But, yeah, I call her every day, which is important to me because in college I called her maybe twice the whole time.
Yep. That's what I see my mom every day. Yeah. Like, she's in a little assisted living place. I'm getting all living situations changed up, but I've taken care of my mom for so many years, but they're your mom, you know?
Yeah.
So this explains, like, I love it. Like, I love to the people out there, like, about a person who's successful and who's driving. Now, with everything that's going on in your life and you're staying grounded, you have the future that's coming up. Like, do you take a time every day, though, with the grounding? Like you say, your spiritual life's really big, because this is big for a lot of people that listen to what I do. Like, what about your spiritual life?
I'm big, man. I have a whole room of crystals.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a giant room, probably like thousands of dollars of crystals. I'm big on that. The grounding, I literally feel amazing when I ground outside. Yeah. I don't know how to describe it. I know there's people skeptical about it, but please try it before you criticize it.
No. Like, the people, crystal formations and even chime bowls actually help can set certain frequencies into your body to help it calm down. And I think that, sky's the limit's going to be for you. And I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything, that questions I wanted to know about you, man. I mean, like, being this young, and not saying young, like, as in, like, your mindset is, like, wise. Like, it's just, like, I love seeing it, man. And so, I mean, for everybody out there that's listening right now, if you ever want to catch and see the success that you have, like, you know, when you saw Gary Vee's book, I just ordered it. Yeah. And every time I listen to, like, a Gary Vee thing, I'm always like, that's what Sean's doing right now. You know what I mean? Like, funny. It's almost like he preempted and he knew before it happened.
Well, I used to study him all the time.
Did you?
Yeah, for years. He was the first guy I studied when I was starting out.
Wow. Have you had him on the show yet?
No, but I just visited his office, so it's coming soon.
Okay. Yeah, you can see that happening, brother. That's going to be good. Well, where can they can find you, but more than anybody can even find me, but where can people find you at? Telling people what they can.
Digital Social Hour Podcast, Sean Mike Kelly on Instagram. If you want to see the clips, there's always some interesting clips going up every day.
Oh, man. I am so glad about this, man. I know that you're a busy man, and I really appreciate you taking the time, man, to talk with me about it, because I just want people to see what people who have hard drive and very successful, like even the health stuff they need to go through, the spiritual stuff they need to go through. And we got to talk about his allergies, because we're going to, like, try to get this thing cleaned up.
Bad right now. I sound nasally.
Oh, no, you're good. Well, from all of us here, I want to say thank you so much for being on the show, man. I know it takes a lot out of your time. And for everybody out there, if you guys have any questions about success, visit his page, visit his Instagram, because he's got everybody on there. And I'm so thankful to actually be part of this in any small way. So I really appreciate it, brother.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Boom.
Take it easy, guys.